of our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, put all before the Mother in your heart so that her light may work on it for the best. With always our love and blessings, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, Book 1, The Book of Beginnings, Canto 4, The Secret Knowledge, page 55, last line. These signs are native to a larger self that lives within us by ourselves, unseen. Only sometimes a holier influence comes, a tide of mightier surges bears our lives, and a diviner presence moves the soul. Or through the earthly coverings, something breaks, a grace and beauty of spiritual light, the murmuring tongue of a celestial fire. Ourself and a high stranger whom we feel, it is, and acts unseen as if it were not. It follows the line of sempiternal birth, yet seems to perish with its mortal frame. Assured of the apocalypse to be, it reckons not the moments and the hours. Great, patient, calm, it sees the centuries pass, awaiting the slow miracle of our change in the sure deliberate process of world force and the long march of all revealing time. It is the origin and the master clue, a silence overhead, an inner voice, a living image seated in the heart, an unwalled whiteness and a fathomless point. The truth of all these cryptic shows in space, the real towards which our strivings move, the secret grandiose meaning of our lives. A treasure of honey in the combs of God, a splendor burning in a tenebrous cloak. It is burglary of the flame of God. Our golden fountain of the world's delight and immortality culled in the gate of death, the shape of our unborn divinity. It guards for us our fate in depths within, where sleeps the eternal seed of transient things. Always we bear in us a magic key, concealed in life's hermetic envelope, a burning witness in the sanctuary, regards through time and the blind walls of form. A timeless light is in his hidden eyes. He sees the secret things no words can speak, and knows the goal of the unconscious world and the heart of the mystery of the journey is. Words of our Divine Mother, taken from the collective works of our Divine Mother. Question and answers, year 1950-51, date 8th Feb 1951. Our Divine Mother first gives the quote from the question and answers of 1929 and says, "The outer being is like a crust. In ordinary people, the crust is so hard and thick that they are not conscious of the divine within them. If once, even for a moment only, the inner being has said, 'I am here and I am yours,' then it is as though a bridge has been built, and little by little the crust becomes thinner and thinner, and until the two parts are wholly joined, and the inner and the outer becomes one." And then our Divine Mother says, "Have you ever thought of unifying your being? Have you been disturbed sometimes to see that now you are one person, at other times another? At one time you want to do one thing, at another time you cannot do it? If you find yourself facing an individuality which you can call yourself, and yet at the same time there are many parts of the individuality which escape you?" Next topic, taken from 12th Feb of 1951. Again, a quote from the question and answers of 1929. Our Divine Mother says, "Some persons ask, why has not the divine come yet?" And then our Divine Mother says, "Because you're not yet ready. If a little drop makes you sing and dance and scream, what would happen if the whole thing comes down? Therefore, do we say to people who have a strong and firm and capacious basis in the body and vital and mind, do not try to pull at the forces of the divine, but wait in peace and calmness, for they would not be able to bear the descent. But to those who possess the necessary basis and foundation, we say, on the contrary, aspire and draw, for they would be able to receive and yet not be upset by the forces descending from the divine." Question, Sweet Mother, why does the divine force upset people? For this, our Divine Mother says, because it is too strong for them. It is as though you were in the midst of a big cyclone. It happens at times that the wind is so violent that you are not able to stand. You have to lie down and wait till it blows over. Now, the divine forces are 1,000 times stronger than a cyclonic wind. If you do not have in you a very wide receptivity, an extremely solid basis of calmness, of equality of soul and inner peace, they come and carry you away like a gale, and you cannot resist them. It is the same thing with light. Some people get a pain in the eyes when they look at the sun and are obliged to put on dark glasses because sunlight is too strong for them. But this is merely sunlight. When you are able to look at the supramental light, it appears to you so brilliant that Sunlight seems like a black stain in comparison. One must have strong eyes and a solid brain to bear that. One must be well prepared, established in something extremely calm and vast. It is as though one had such a strong basis of tranquility that when the storm passes, when the light comes with a greater intensity, one is able to remain immobile and receive what one can without being knocked over. But there is not one being in a million who can do that. Our Divine Mother says only those who have had a foretaste of inner experience can know what this means. But even if you enter consciously into the psychic, it is dazzling. And it is within your reach because it is your own psychic being, and yet it is so different to your external consciousness that the first time you enter it consciously, it seems to you truly dazzling, something infinitely more brilliant than the most brilliant sunlight. Our Divine Mother says the psychic is what may be called the divine within the reach of man. Question, sweet mother, are there any signs which indicate that one is ready for the path, especially if one has no spiritual teacher? For this, our Divine Mother says yes. The most important indication is a perfect equality of soul in all circumstances. It is an absolutely indispensable basis. Something very quiet, calm, peaceful, the feeling of a great force, not the quietness that comes from inertia, but the sensation of a concentrated power which keeps you always steady, whatever happens, even in circumstances which may appear to you the most terrible in your life. That is the first sign. Our Divine Mother says a second sign. You feel completely imprisoned in your ordinary normal consciousness, as in something extremely hard, something suffocating and intolerable, as though you had to pierce a hole in a brass wall. And the torture becomes almost unbearable. It is stifling. There is an inner effort to break through, and you cannot manage to break through. This also is one of the first signs. It means that your inner consciousness has reached a point where its outer mouth is much too small for it, the mouth of ordinary life, ordinary activities, ordinary relations. All that becomes so small, so petty, you feel within you a force to break all that. And then our Divine Mother says, there is yet another sign. When you concentrate and have an aspiration, you feel something coming down into you. You receive an answer. You feel a light, a peace, a force coming down, and almost immediately, you need not have to wait or spend a longer time. Nothing but an inner aspiration, a call, and the answer comes. This also means that the relation has been well established. If there is an upsetting when the force descends, does it mean that the vital is not ready, and should it not be forced to be ready? For this, our Divine Mother says, how can you force it? It escapes through your fingers, so to say. Your will thinks it has caught it, and it eludes you. It is difficult to control. And force it to what? To be ready? All that you will be able to get from it is that it will become inert. That is, it will hide in a corner, not stir any longer, and let the storm pass. Because for it, the contact with the divine forces is like a storm. And when it sees that the crisis is over, it will react. Here you are. Now it's my turn. Our Divine Mother says, if you are upset, it means that you still have much work to do upon your vital before it can be ready. It means there is a weakness somewhere. For some, the weakness is in the mind, and there are instances where the mind becomes too weak. There are people who are weak in their vital being when they have the sensation of infinity, eternity in their small, very small person and their very little strength. It is so different from the impression that they have constantly that they understand nothing whatever. Then they fall sick or they begin to take deliriously or to shout and dance. But if you're absolutely sincere and look at yourself clear sightedly, this cannot happen to you. For an experience which comes inopportunely like that is always the result of a pride or an ambition or some lack of balance within due to having neglected one part of the being for the benefit of another. Our Divine Mother says those who think they can advance in yoga by leaving their body completely inert, their vital asleep, and their mind in a kind of stupefaction get completely upset, you may be sure, when an experience comes to them. They lose their head, they do extravagant things, or otherwise something very unfortunate happens to them. One must have a solid, well balanced body, well controlled vital, mind organized, supple, and logical. Then, if you are in a state of aspiration, you will receive an answer. All your being will feel enriched, enlarged, splendid, and you will be perfectly happy and you will not spill your cup because it is too full. Like a clumsy fellow who does not know how to hold a full tumbler. It is like that, you see. It is as if you have had a small vase there, quite small, which remains small if you do not take care to make it bigger. Then, if all of a sudden it's filled up with something which is too strong and everything overflows. Question, sweet mother, when the consciousness feels imprisoned within too narrow external mound, what should be done? For this, our Divine Mother says, you must particularly not be violent. If you are violent, you will come out of it tired, exhausted, without any result. You must concentrate all the forces of aspiration. If you are conscious of the inner flame, you should put into this flame all that you find strongest in you by way of aspiration, of a call which holds yourself, and hold yourself as quiet as you can, calling with a deep reliance that the answer will come. And when you are in this state, your aspiration and concentrated force with your inner flame press gently upon this kind of outer crust, without violence, but with insistence as long as you can, without getting agitated, irritated, or excited. You must be perfectly quiet. One must call and push. You must be perfectly quiet and aspire. It will not succeed the very first time. You must begin again and again as many times as it is necessary. But suddenly one day you are on the other side. Then you emerge in an ocean of light. If you fight, if you are restless, if you struggle, you will get nothing at all. And if you become irritable, you will only get a headache. Yes, it is that. To gather together all your power of aspiration, make of it something intensely concentrated in an absolute tranquility, to be conscious of your inner flame and throw into it all you can that it may burn ever higher and higher. And then call with your consciousness slowly. You're sure to succeed one day. Cease our Divine Mother.